So welcome, Susie. Welcome to Travel Connections.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and to share this discussion with your audience.
Well, thank you. Well, here's the fun thing. I saw you on Instagram, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you and I met 8 years ago at a conference called TBEX. It was the first time I'd ever been there. What is it? Travel Bloggers Exchange? Is that what it's called? Okay.
Very.
So I had never been. It was in Minneapolis, and you sat next to me in a breakout session. And we have been in contact, at least through Instagram, ever since.
Small world. That was my first TBEX as well.
Uh-huh. Well, it was lovely. And I've watched your family grow. And I mean, it's been really fun. Instagram, I have this love-hate thing going on with Instagram where I think it's great and I put all this, effort and everything into this, and then no one sees it. And I'm like, why am I doing this? But then there are connections, there are nuggets that you glean from Instagram, from people that you follow that I find really valuable. Do you find that?
Absolutely. I think as a creator and a business owner, I deeply understand trying to figure out, is there an ROI and grappling with that. But as a personal consumer of it, I love it. I mean, you do have to put up your boundaries to make sure you don't go down the rabbit hole too far. But I think there is a beauty and of being able to use it to connect with people that you would never have otherwise connected to. Obviously, we had a chance encounter and our paths crossed 8 years ago, but the platform has allowed us to stay in touch. And I think that it's just funny. And honestly, this kind of relates to the topic that we're going to be talking about, which is intentional travel. And a piece of that is serendipity. And I think that, you get that in travel, you get that in life, but you do have to search it out and you have to be present enough to appreciate that. And so I think that with the right mindset, Instagram can be a great place, but you just have to, control it, I think, in terms of what your expectations are of what you put into it and get out of it.
You're 100% right. And, sometimes I get frustrated by it, but other times I'm so delighted by what I see. So I know that there's a mixture there. So I'm watching one of your stories. I don't want to call it a rant because that is not I don't think that's a positive term, but you had decided you wanted to share something super important and it caught my attention. And let's call it intentional travel. Let's talk about why we travel, transformational travel. Let's talk about that subject in a minute, because I'd love to know what Carpe Diem Traveler is, and then how you incorporate this tourism philosophy in your business, because I really want to understand were you doing this when I met you, or is this an evolution of your business?
It's an evolution, and we're all evolving over time, right? And
100%.
I think it's quite natural for your business to evolve along with you. And in 2016, when I first started my business, and when we met in TBEX at that conference, I started my business as a, traditional travel advisor. So I was creating customized trips for individuals and groups and families as well. And I did that for a number of years. And that was a passion area of mine, to help people travel in a personalized way, because I've had the good fortune and benefit of having done a lot of travel on my own before that point.
Right.
And the thing that really I got even more fired up about was sabbaticals. So part of my story, before we met, I took a year-long sabbatical with my husband, and we ended up going to all 7 continents. And that was the moment, that experience, where I knew that I needed to share this expertise and the expertise, the experience, and just the philosophy around travel with everybody else. Because so many people just see travel as a means to escape. And, you work your whole life in the cubicle, and, then you've got your 2 weeks or whatever it is to really enjoy life. And, most people see that as just a way to escape life and then come back, and they come back basically the same person.
Right.
And they don't go that level deeper. And we'll touch on how to actually do that, I'm sure, later throughout our conversation. But what I realized in helping people take sabbaticals or more extended time away from their day-to-day life, the part that I liked the most, yes, I, of course, loved the travel planning aspect of it. But before I got into that, I needed to know and really have a deep understanding on a personal level of what they wanted to accomplish with that time. And I think that's kind of natural. If you're going to take time, a month or more, and how I define sabbatical is a month or more, is if you're going to take that time away, you generally have some intention around it. And it doesn't have to be some super deep, or huge life accomplishment. It doesn't have to be that big, but there's a natural reflection that happens before that. And before I would recommend you start planning a trip.
Okay.
Especially if you want to use that time to travel, which is what I recommend and specialize in. And after doing that for some time, I realized, well, that same process can apply to even a shorter trip. And why aren't we doing that? And so many people just see travel as I plan the trip and then I take the trip and that's it, we're done. When really there's a whole cyclical process that we can dig into here to explain, how that works and how you can make the most out of that time. I mean, yes, you can go across the world and see beautiful places and, eat wonderful foods and experience things that you couldn't do at home. That's all wonderful. But what really makes that experience even deeper and where you're really going to maximize not only the time investment that you're taking, but also your money, because it costs money to do all of these fabulous things, is to really be more present and intentional with what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it.
Well, I am all about intentional travel. I mean, to go deeper and to understand the authenticity of the people that you are meeting. It's not just go to the gift shop and check a box. And I think you might have been talking about that as like, oh, I've got to go there. I've got to go to 7 continents. I got to go to 5 continents. Is it really about the, yes, I aspire to go to all 7 continents, but is it because I want to check the box or because I want to feel deeply where I am and taste the food and meet the people? And I just got back from Africa in November. And I have to tell you, that was absolutely life-changing for me. Life-changing. Did I know it was going to be life-changing? I did not. Did I allow it to wash over me and to be a part of the culture and be a part of the people? Yes, I did. And it was intentional. And I think I walk your walk. And that's why I was so excited to have you on here, because I was like, this girl is singing my song. When I'm seeing you on Instagram, it was like, oh my gosh. So I have experience with the Transformational Travel Council. So up here in the Northwest, we'd be in Camino Islands, or a big part, and they won an award, and they took it very seriously so they could improve their tourism, so they could give their tourists a better experience. And I interviewed 3 different people from the islands to talk about this transformational, regenerative. There's a lot of words that we're tossing around here. Tell me your philosophy. And I know you can relate. I was so excited. I'm like, you did this? You took this class? So tell me about that part of it.
Yeah. And it was something I stumbled upon because as I had this epiphany late last year when I realized, okay, I can take the same frameworks and processes that I'm doing with my sabbatical clients and apply them to clients that want to travel for less time, but still a big trip, at least in the American terminology, which I would consider
American, yeah.
a week. It's all relative. But I realized that, and I stumbled upon the Transformational Travel Council through, and actually followed Jay Cowper, which he's the CEO of the group. I followed him on LinkedIn, and I just saw one of his posts, and it was one of those rabbit hole moments where I was like, wait, tell me more about this, this council that you have. And then I saw that they offer a design program specifically to create transformational travel or trips that are specifically designed to help people go through a transformation. And it's really the way they explain it. It's that next level. I think most travelers are either, looking to just escape, as I mentioned before. That's, kind of general population. One level up from that is people who really look to travel to experience. And I think that there's a little bit of integration with the people and trying to understand the culture and really have an appreciation for that and want to dig deeper. This transformational travel, that's one level kind of up the staircase from that. And it's really about being able to not only transform yourself, because I think that can happen in experiential travel. Like you can go, you can learn, you can come back a different person. And that is amazing. Anybody who has had that experience knows, as you said, you going to Africa, it was life changing. And I get that. I mean, going to South Africa and especially going on safari, like there's something about Africa that just touches your soul, like on such a deep level, like without even trying. It's really incredible. So if you've had that experience, then you know how amazing that is. So one level up from that is really focusing on not only yourself evolving and growing, but also looking at the destination and understanding how can we interact and how can you give? How can we have your travel be a positive experience on the place and the place you go and the people that you meet? How can that be more of an exchange versus just taking from the place?
Well said.
And that is something that most people aren't thinking about. It's not really talked about much because unfortunately travel, the way I see travel, especially being a travel advisor and selling travel to people, is travel is marketing. People want to go to where they know. So that's why popular places continue to become even more popular, because people come home, they say, oh, Italy was amazing. Oh, Paris, wow. And, that's great for those places. Well, I shouldn't say always great. There are some downsides to that if it becomes overpopulated with tourism. And, that's a whole, over tourism is a whole other topic.
Whole conversation. You'll have to come back when you talk.
Right, exactly. But I think that there's a lot to consider when we need to think, intentionally, what do we want to get out of a trip? But the flip side of that is, what can I give to a place? How can I create a positive impact? And how can my travel decisions, how should I be thinking about this? And some of the conversations that we had in the design program, the Transformational Travel Design Program, were really made me reflect on my own travel choices, because, when you start thinking about things like sustainability and, carbon emissions and all of these things that, like, that's happening when you take a trip, but you want to go to these places. So it's like, how do we find that balance of, especially me and travel being a part of my business and wanting to share those experiences. I think there is a positive impact on if I'm going someplace and I'm sharing about cultures and experiences that I've had to people who may not have the privilege to go, like that is still spreading positivity in a good way.
Right.
But I think that, we need to balance that too with the impact that you have on hopping on a plane. And one of the things that I also kind of learned and started implementing a little bit more in my business is being able to, it's kind of, I'm taking a stair step down approach, I suppose, going from like the big macro mega adventure of a sabbatical and intentionality around that to how can you apply it to, a week-long trip. And then in the conversations, it's how can you apply that same process and thinking to even backyard type adventures where you're just going to the neighborhood, across the way from you and being able to dig deeper within your own general or close vicinity. Because I think that there's some gold there that you don't even need to go far. You don't need to hop on a plane, have some of those transformative experiences.
Well, it's true. And what it does is it creates a huge conundrum because it's like, here I am and here you are. We are sharing, we are encouraging people to travel, right? We are encouraging them to go to new places and to do new things. But don't too many of you go. But you need to know about this because they need your tourist dollars, right? We are juggling all of these little details to make the right decision. And so I struggle with that.
But I think that if your heart's in the right place and if you are intentional, then if you do go and you have the purpose of trying to really understand and share and make a positive impact when you are there, and there's many different ways you can do that, then overall, net positive, I would say.
Correct.
I think that it's about, and I don't have the answer to this, but how can we, especially people who are even at the level of thinking about this and, listening to this conversation right now, like, how can we spread this message so that this type of thinking and traveling becomes more of the norm than just the knee-jerk, I need a vacation, so I'm going to hop on a plane and then I'm going to lay on a beach and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to be the same person. And I didn't even leave the resort. And I mean, there's nothing against like all-inclusive resorts. I think there's a time and a place for that. But again, with the intention of that, but that's just not common thinking at this point, I would say, at least from an American perspective, being an American myself and most of my clientele are American. So, it's more about how can we spread the message for that to become more normalized and have people just think about, why am I taking this trip before hitting the book button? I'm generally all for travel, but if we can make travel something that has that net positive result on average, then we're moving in the right direction. Because there's so many amazing benefits of travel. It's more about just changing kind of the mass consciousness or, societal norms around travel. And unfortunately, marketing dollars are really being spent to sell the trips that, people want to take. There's, not the same kind of dollars behind intentional travel, but so that's more of a grassroots effort. Like the more we can talk about this, even just in our own circles, I think that has the ability to spread, the ripples down the way.
Well, and I think actions show also. So you go on a trip and you show what you do, and I can't even get a good example. Maybe you had dinner at a home somewhere. In Rome, for example, I was just there and I had dinner at a woman's home who's a chef in Rome. And we sat there. It was an international crowd. There was a family from Copenhagen. There were two families from the US. There was Craig and I. And we had authentic Roman cuisine that was sourced right at the farmer's market in Trastevere, right there. We all exchanged ideas. We all talked about different things of our lives, trips we'd been on. Hey, do you know about this? Do you know about that book? It was a magical experience. It was unexpected. I knew I was going to love it. Did I know it was going to be transformational? No. But that is a prime example of how you could do something as simple as having dinner with people that could make a difference. Because now, think of the trickle down. You've got the farmer's market now sold all of those extra things, and they're local farmers. The chef now improves her business because she is a single woman entrepreneur who's trying to build her business, right? And so it was like, this is awesome. And it was a fabulous experience. I'm going to talk about that in a future episode, but we stumbled on that taking a food tour with someone, saw her in a market. They were friends. Hey, you want to come by and see my apartment? This is what I do here. And we're like, sure. And we go and we learn about her. And a year later, we made it happen.
Love that.
So isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
It was wonderful. But again, unexpected. You have to be open to new things. You have to be open to trying things. Some people might think, ooh, I don't know. I'm going to go in some stranger's house. I don't know if I can handle that. Maybe it isn't for everyone. It is for some people, right?
Yeah. And even if that exact experience isn't for you, I think that just when you are looking to book a trip, having the lens of who is providing this experience? Is it a small local business, or is it a massive multinational company based in the US, but you're visiting Italy and all of the money is going to the US and not to the people in Italy, or a small percentage of that would be staying in Italy, the country that you're visiting. And even just having kind of that critical lens is going to move you in the right direction of creating that positive impact. And, you vote with your dollars when you're traveling, so to speak. So really thinking about, how can you create more of an economic increase with, the experiences that you're looking to have, whether that's, dining in somebody's home or something totally different, and I think that that's something that most people don't really think so much about. They might just go with whatever's the most convenient or well-known company out there. And I get that. But again, I think if you're trying to make some baby steps towards becoming an intentional traveler that is, regenerative or creating a positive impact, that is one way to just, before you hit book, think about and maybe, take a couple of minutes to investigate where your money is going.
Right. So, okay. So you take the course, you're now full of ideas.
Yes.
Right. Your head is going to burst. How have you implemented this idea? And could you tell me more about your sabbatical? Tell me more about your business so we can figure out who's a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm. So a few things. One is I created a program, a one-on-one service. So if, somebody is interested in creating that intentional trip, and that would be like a week, I would say 10 days plus. So those, what I would consider a shorter trip compared to a sabbatical. It's all relative. So that is called Intentional Journeys. And that takes everything that I've learned in the Transformational Travel Design program, because it's 4-part. So as I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, it's not just about planning the trip and taking the trip. It's really a full circle. So I call it my soul framework. So the S is, and it's all about creating a soul-filling experience and trip. The S stands for seek. So before you even start planning, that's where you kind of create your intentions for the trip and figure out, what's your why? What do you want to get out of this experience? all sorts of questions that help get you clear on, the details of the trip, which makes the planning a whole lot easier, and much more streamlined. Once we've got kind of that clear goal in mind, then I create a customized itinerary for you and, create recommendations that's fully customized to, and aligned with that goal that you set. With the seek part, I always open. So the other part of creating that experience is being open to some new ideas, new ways of doing things, new ways of traveling. The U is unlock. And so that aligns with when you're actually traveling, unlocking the serendipity and just being present and really allowing yourself to be open to the possibilities of, the destination that you're in, the experiences that you're having. And that is something that, most people are so focused on their itinerary and, okay, we got to be here and do that and check things off the list. The U, or the unlock part of my whole methodology and framework is much more about being in the moment. And I think that is so powerful to be able to create some of those memories and be open to the serendipity that maybe you wouldn't have. And a lot of it, when I'm creating the itinerary too, is slowing down. Take whatever your normal, pace is and just slowing it down, because I think that opens up by giving yourself a bit more blank space. You're able to do a bit more wandering and just seeing, where the day takes you. And then lastly, L, so soul.
Yes.
The L is lift. And so that's about when you get home, how can you use that experience to elevate your life and also inform future trips? So it is a full circle to be able to take the, intentions, create that trip, and then integrate it more into your life. Because for so many people, they have a great experience and then they come home and then they jump right back into their routines. It's done. Yeah. And maybe move on to the next trip. But I think there's so much gold that you uncover on that trip. And there's a way to kind of keep those vacation vibes flowing, even in your normal day-to-day life, that with just a little bit of an intention around it, you can really be able to change some small habits. So, maybe you realize, like being in Italy, for example, you want to change some things, maybe go on more walks or, incorporate, maybe do some more cooking, for example, with fresh ingredients and, all of those little things that vacation you might do, but, at home you might not do. There's ways to change. And I think there's a beauty of the time period when you first come back that you can make some changes. So I dig into all of that. So that's one way that I've incorporated what I've learned in the Transformational Travel Design Council, the program that I did. And I created a course that's all around that, specifically for family travel. Okay. And I'm kind of, what I realized in creating that course is that I really want to work with entrepreneur moms. So me being one myself, I have a 4-year-old. I am moving now towards helping entrepreneur moms travel with intention. So again, all of the things that I've just shared, but also be able to create, intentional sabbaticals in their lives. So I'm in the fall, I'm launching a whole program that has the goal of a summer sabbatical for next year. So it's really just about setting up your life and your business to live with intention, especially as a business owner. You have the power to create that true freedom business in a way that can free up your time to take the summers, which are so precious and they feel so short. I can't even believe, right now it's nearing the end of summer already. And I want to really be able to help entrepreneur moms have more time with their families and go on big adventures and really make the most of them. Because, like I was saying earlier, if you are taking this time to travel, not only your time but also your money, it's like you really want to create those core memories in a way, and also show your children. The thing that really lit me up about family travel is that you not only can impact the parents, but also the future generation and show them how to travel with intention too. So it's, that bigger purpose really spoke to me and aligned with my values, because I think it's so important to start kids young in really, because they observe everything, right? And so if you are taking these adventures and interacting with locals and, having that exchange, that's what they will see as travel. And that's how they will, have that foundation set when they're off and doing their own adventures. When they're older and on their own, they're already going to be set up for success to have those meaningful experiences.
I love that for you with young families, because you have a young family and you can make a difference right now. You already made a difference with your son, and you're going to do that by helping these entrepreneurial moms. I'm going to guess, and honestly, the sabbatical is a whole nother podcast episode, really, because I'm sitting here thinking, how does one step away from their business? You build that into your plan, I'm guessing, throughout the year, right? You have your business plan for the year, you have your goals for the year, and you build that in order to give back to yourself. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Say that I'm close.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm actually, this is breaking news. I am partnering with another entrepreneur mom.
Okay.
Her specialty is optimizing your business and setting it up to run without you. And that's there's a book called Run Like Clockwork. And the whole goal of that book is to create a 4-week vacation, aka a sabbatical.
Sure.
And so there's a whole program that is centered around it. So she's going to kind of solve the business side of things, so the business can run without you, and you can totally unplug. And then where I come in is a nice complementary service to that, is figuring out, how can we travel with intention? How can we carve out regular time for ourselves? And I think that there's a lot of mental shifts that need to happen, especially if, you're in that hustle mentality that so many of us are. It takes a lot to move from that side of the spectrum to be ready to really let go of the control of your business. And, but with the beautiful reward of, a whole month off in the summer. So you can have a summer vacation just like your kids, have that quality time while they're young. These years you're not getting back. And so I think that is I'm just so excited about kind of what's to come, and really helping this group of women to create that in their lives, because that is meaningful. And I think that it's something that so many of us want and need, but don't think is a reality. But it actually is very, very possible.
I love that. It's so inspiring. Well, I think that, gosh, I have so many more questions for you, but unfortunately our time has ended. But Susie, where can people find you? I know they're thinking, wait, I want more.
Yeah.
So where can they find you to learn more about this wonderful idea and your new business? Well, it's not new, but your expanded business.
Yes. You can follow me on Instagram at Carpe Diem Traveler. So like seize the day, Carpe Diem Traveler. Yep. And I'm also on LinkedIn at Susie Chau. So you can find me there. Both of those are platforms that I'll be sharing a whole lot more and tons of free tips and tricks to get you started on this path. And do not hesitate to send me a DM. I would absolutely love to hear from you and be able to help you kind of take those next steps towards an intentional trip, if you're looking for something that is, a week or two long, or, the big dream of a sabbatical, and tell your friends. So if you know of any entrepreneur moms that want to take a summer vacation, they've got kids and they want to spend more quality time with them next year, please send them my profile. That I'm just trying to, at this point, spread the word to really gain the audience of people that need this and really want this. And so I can serve them.
Well, everyone needs this.
I got to choose a niche.
Yes, I know you. So. I know it's like the whole world needs this, but I love that you've narrowed it down.
Yeah,
and you know exactly who your audience is going to be for now.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Travel Connections and inspiring me once again. It's lovely to reconnect, actually virtually, kind of in person. And I look forward to seeing your success in the future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.